Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonah White. I'm an independent apocalyptic author. So what you're seeing here is me creating some character artwork for my main character of my Shadows of Darkness series, James Janus. So why is it so important that I'm showing this? Well, you guys voted for it, so I decided to show you a video of me actually starting from scratch, of me creating one of my characters from my novel. I'm working on several others, but this one's very important because, one, it's the main character of my story, and second, I'm going to be using this as sort of like a marketing tool, like part of my pre-order gifts, or maybe my year-long anniversary of my debut novel, like one of those sort of like perks or gifts. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time, even off camera, or what you don't see in this video here, trying to make sure that this drawing comes out to be the best it can possibly be, because this is very important that I get this pretty spot on when it comes to looks or looking like a professional character design. So my style when it comes to drawing is drawing the characters, obviously, because what I did here is I took a picture of myself in a certain pose wearing certain clothes, but I'm making alterations to the clothes and the character because James Janus is half African American and half Asian, which is the same ethnicity, I can't speak right now, ethnicity as myself, because I'm both African American and Asian. But I wanted to add a little bit of a twist. So right here, I don't want him to look straight up like me. I know some of his character traits are inspired from some of my own traits, but I wanted to conceal his face so you don't really fully see his face, because I don't want to just do a author insert character for James Janus. So you can't see the photo right now, but I'll probably include it at the end of this video, or in a part 2 of this video, because this video here is mainly going to be showing me drawing and shading in the James Janus character. I'm not going to be doing the background in this video. Maybe in a part 2 I'll show how I am going to deal with the background. You will still see me put some background sort of things in here, like debris and smoke, but you won't see me shading it in this video, because I didn't have time, and this video was already getting super long, and I was running out of space on my iPad. So yeah, that's a pain, and I didn't want to delete any of this footage, because I want you to see how I draw this character from start to finish. So yeah, as you can see, right now it's a pretty tedious process, doing the outlining. I consider this to be the hardest part when it comes to sketching. I know a lot of people could think maybe the shading in, but I think the outlining is the most important, because this is really going to define how my character looks and everything. And plus the shading, it's all subjective how you decide to shade it. You can do it extremely detailed and look more realistic. You can do it more cartoonish if you would like to. But for me, I would say the outlining is definitely the hardest part, and I spend the most time here, because you're gonna see me erasing a lot of times if I find out that it doesn't really match what I have in my head, or it doesn't match the image that I'm taking inspiration from. So I just stayed up late one night, and I'm let me just throw on some old looking clothes, and then just take a selfie of myself in a certain pose, so that I could just use it as sort of a baseline for me to sketch James Janus pretty much. So that's what you see me doing here, although you can't see the photo right now, but trust me, I'm looking at it a lot, and as you can see, right now I'm just erasing a lot, because I just want to make sure that every single proportion is on point here. So yeah, when it comes to my life as an artist, I've been drawing ever since I was I would say 5 years old, but it wasn't until I reached the age of 7 or 8 before I started trying to draw a little bit more realistic and taking my art a little bit more seriously. I did drop my drawing for a little bit, most of my teenage years, all the way through college, but then I recently picked it up the moment I started writing this Shadows of Darkness series, because I found it as an avenue for me I found a reason to continue drawing because I could like try to visualize my characters in my head, and I can also share my skills as a sketch artist. So if you want to know like what my style is when it comes to doing this character design, it's more like I'm going to keep it black and white. I may do a couple colors in the images, but I'm going to mainly keep it black and white. I will be doing another character art with another like freelancer that does character art, but I really want to do most of mine by myself because it saves money, and plus if I can draw them and create them, why not just utilize those skills? So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on with me. So as you can see here, like I did speed up the footage because if I kept it at normal speed, I mean, you guys can slow it down on YouTube if you wanted to get it more to normal speed, but trust me, I sped this up for a reason because like when I was done like filming all of this came up to almost 2 hours, and that was with me leaving out certain sections of me like shading like parts that took me forever, or I felt like this is gonna get tedious, I can just skip and then pick up like 10 minutes later. So I did that several times, but this video was gonna turn out super long, and my iPad did not have space for this, and I just wanted to like give you guys like a good balance of like a length of a video, but at the same time it doesn't get like boring, like you're just watching paint dry. So yeah, that's why I like sped up the footage. So, and you can see me just erasing a ton here, especially when I start drawing the eye right here. There I go, because I'm kind of embarrassed of this attempt because the eye is too high, because the mask is too high, or not really a mask, but it's more like a shirt that James Janus has wrapped around his face, mostly to conceal his identity. And maybe like block from some of the smoke that's coming up around him, because there's some debris in the background. That I forget, did I keep this one? No, I did not, because it looked a little droopy. And then you could see I cut there because I spent like 10 minutes to try to like get that eye exactly right, and then I readjusted the mask, I put it a little lower, everything. Now you can see me going into like the detail where I know where to like shape the creases in the black jacket that James Janus is wearing right now. So this part isn't super hard now. Now I'm past like the most difficult part. Now I'm in, I would say, the second most difficult part, because now I'm trying to like really decide, because at this point I'm kind of like improvising when it comes to these creases or these folds in his jacket. And I'm going to take a little bit of liberty and a little bit and add like a armored shoulder pad to the jacket, because it's not in the image that I like took a picture in the selfie I took a picture of myself with, but it is like something that James Janus eventually does in the story, where he like puts a shoulder pad on his shoulder to like mainly protect it from like most smaller round shots or bullets or anything like that. So yeah, I think I've gone over a lot of what's been going on with this video. So I'm going to be going into like my so a little bit of details of when it comes to my plans, when it comes to future content, especially when it relates to character designs. So I did release one video in the past when it comes to me creating character art, but the thing is, I was pretty much done and I was just working on the background, and I just wanted to share with you guys a video where I'm actually starting from scratch and you guys actually see the process, or if you wanted to like learn some tips or follow along. So oh wait, how did I forget about this? Now this is like basic things. Alright, the pencils I'm using. So right now you do see me using a standard number 2 pencil, but that's only to like outline and like put all these details there. I do use the graphite pencils. The ones I mainly use is the 2H, HB, 2B, 4B, 6B, and then there's like this marker like pen that I use mainly for like extremely dark areas. So yep, those are like the pencils that I do use. Right now I'm using this pencil because I don't want to because I want to keep the graphite pencils as sharp as possible. Plus they're pretty, well, they're not too expensive, but I don't like to spend unnecessary money by constantly sharpening them to keep them sharp. So I like using this sort of pencil to do like this sort of work, and then I use the graphite pencils to put in the detail and to do the shading, because that's when I kind of retire like this pencil. Plus a lot of graphite pencils can get super dark, so if I try to erase it, then a lot of the eraser won't work as well if I'm trying to erase like graphite pencils. So yep, and I do have like a red pencil that came with the graphite pencil, so I'm going to possibly use it in part 2 when it comes to like some of the flames, when it comes to the debris that you see around James Janus. So right now nothing's going on in the video, but it's me switching my music on my phone, because I do like listening to music. Well, for now I do like, as long as I'm not writing, I do like listening to songs with lyrics. If I'm writing or anything like that, I tend not to, because I find the lyrics very distracting. But if I'm drawing, yep, lyrics are fine. They're not that distracting or game breaking. So yeah, I do like listen to a ton of music when I do it, because it makes the time go by really fast. Because this is actually a long video, because obviously because it's like the footage is sped up, and there was like, you already saw like one cut where I was already I skipped over like the tedious process when it came to the eyeball, because I do feel that the eyes really make or break whether your character looks like the character you're trying to copy or you're taking inspiration from. Fortunately for me, I'm not trying to make James Janus look 100% like me, so I could take a little bit of liberties. But then again, I want to make sure that the eyes are just perfect, because if that's all we're seeing, that's of his face, like Balia's eyes and his forehead, it needs to be perfect, because there's nothing else that's going to draw attention away from like some terribly drawn eyes. So yep, now I'm into the shading process. I'm gonna assume this is the HB pencil, because believe it or not, this is before I bought a new set of graphite pencils. Because what happened was, I was like running across the street from a coffee shop to work, or down the street from a coffee shop to work, and I had my small pocket in my bag open, and then as I'm running across the street, I hear my pencils jingling, and then I look down and I see like several of my pencils are missing, and I was like looking around to find them, and I only found one, which was my HB pencil, which is the one I'm using here. I was like, well, it's better than nothing. It's better than me having all light pencils. So I had to buy a new set, and this new set is better than the one I had before, because one before I got like more of a cheaper set just to test out the graphite pencils to see if I could work with it or it's something I could see myself using more. And I love them a lot, and that's why you see me using them here. So yep, I did lose some of my pencils, and I was like, I have to buy more once work ends, because I have to continue filming this video. So that's why you see me using the HB here and not like the 2B to like do those really dark areas. But eventually, I think later in this video or in part 2, I'll definitely, or maybe off screen, I'll probably use the 2B to fix up those shaded areas, because you can see they're not quite as dark or densely black as I need them to be, because I want it where you can't see the paper through the color. And right now with the HB, it's obviously not dark enough, or it doesn't provide that dense enough black to cover up all the white marks, because you can obviously see them right now. But yep, I'm going to stop talking right now, and I'll pick this up later on in the video. So hope you enjoy.
Okay, so now that I'm into the shading process right now, I'm going to talk about how I go about doing this, because I find this to be easier than the outlining, even though it's more of like the tedious section, but I would say that this is a lot easier than doing the outlining, because the outlining is more like for making sure your character looks the way that you want it to, whereas the shading is more like extras, and there's like a variety of different ways you could go about shading depending on your style. For me, I try to do more like realistic, but at the same time like more like an animated version of like the character, sort of like that. That way I don't like go into all the nitpicky stuff, like every single detail on the clothing and everything, because that's just my style, and you guys can do whatever style that you prefer. So, yep. When it comes to the shading, I like starting out with the HB and 2H. That way I kind of like start lighter, and then I'll add like the super dark ones later, because the super dark ones I don't want to just add right away, only because because since I'm left-handed, like it's easy for me to smear a lot of my writing, even though if I was right-handed, it would be the same thing if I was going from the other direction. So here you could see that I'm having the pencil tilted. This is mostly because, well, obviously you cover a little bit more ground when you do it this way, but also you kind of avoid like seeing a lot of like the pencil marks, or the tip of the marker or pencil like going around, because it's sort of like painting, but then you see all the brush marks. So I try to tilt it sideways, that way I can cover more ground, and also like make sure that I don't get like all those pencil marks that are going to be super obvious or hard to get rid of, because when it comes to these pencils, if you get a pencil mark, it's going to be very hard to get rid of it. So now I think I used the same pencil. I forgot, I wasn't really paying attention here, but you can see like compared to the left leg right there where it's super dark, this leg here I'm going dark, but the thing is I'm not going like all out dark like that, because I want to first kind of outline the shading first, and then I'll start gradually getting darker. Yep, so I did do a bit of a time skip when it came to the shading, only because shading some of the shading that I did was pretty self-explanatory. So now you can see I'm going into like the darker area of James Janice's pants here. And oh yeah, also you see on James' left shoulder there that there is sort of like a armored shoulder pad. I think I mentioned it earlier, but like this was not in the photo at all. The one that I'm like looking at in this while I'm drawing this, because honestly I don't have a shoulder pad like that. So I decided to like just visualize it in my head and then kind of make it up and kind of improvise with the photo. I was gonna improvise a little bit more, but I didn't want the image of James to be too crowded with too many aesthetics. Like I was gonna do a bandage around his arm and everything like that, but I decided against it because I don't want to like overcrowd the photo where it kind of takes away from the character James Janice. Plus, I need to know when to say when it comes to like adding too much stuff to the photo. The jacket is not 100% like the photo that I'm taking inspiration from. I would show you the photo that I took of myself, but it was like such a rushed selfie because I put a 5-second timer on it and I had to rush and get into the pose that I wanted to get into, and then like before the picture was taken. So the picture is like pretty blurry and it's pretty poor quality, so I'm going to like spare you guys the horrible sight of that photo. So I'm not going to be showing in this video. So let's see, what else am I doing here? I think here I'm either changing music on my phone, or like I decided to take like a minute break because I wanted to go get water, because I was pretty dehydrated, because the location that I'm at right now, it was super hot and I came in from outside. Oh yeah, and I went to go grab this napkin here so I can start blending the colors. I like using the napkin. The napkin is very good for like blending the colors, but you kind of don't want to overly rely on it to blend because that's kind of cheating. It also helps for like getting rid of a lot of the pencil marks that you may have. So yep, I recently started using the napkin, but I don't want to like overdo it when it comes to this. So while I'm like continuing to just shade in and everything, I would like to talk a little bit about uh, why I decided to like do this image in particular for my marketing. So if you guys don't know, I'm planning on doing two different character designs. One is being designed by me, as you can see here with James Janis. Another is actually being designed by another freelance character designer. So I'm going to have them do it, and that one's going to be in color. This one's going to be in black and white. I might add some red or orange to the flames, to the carnage behind, but that's for part 2 of creating this character. And plus I have plenty of work to do off screen because I want to make sure that this character is like in the right presentation to be presenting this as like my sort of like pre-order incentive, because I'm going to be doing a pre-order pretty soon for my second novel in the Shadows of Darkness series. And if I want to make that, if you pre-order the book, you will be able to get both, well, a digital file of this James Janis character design, as well as like the other character design that I'm having possibly working with a freelance character designer with. So I'm going to be working with them, and then they'll provide the second one. So yep, so those are the two perks that I'm going to be providing for pre-ordering the novel. I'm going to have some pre-order prizes, like I'm going to select maybe like 4 or 5 winners out of my pre-order list, and they will receive both the digital and maybe like a physical copy of these images, maybe like mini posters or something like that, or like on thicker paper so people can frame it. I'm still working on that. So yep, so as you can see here, I'm working on James Janis's sort of like shirt that he wrapped around his face, because for me, for the photo, I did like take one of my black t-shirts and wrapped it around my face because I didn't have anything else. So I was like, I mean, this will work fine, because in the apocalyptic world that James lives in, he has to be very resourceful and kind of like use any tools that he has around him. And I don't think he just has like sort of like a mask or anything that conceal his face like on handy. So he would just use anything that he finds. So I decided to just use the shirt and then kind of replicate that in this photo. But the shirt was a little bit bulkier in the back because you had this big knot like visible behind my neck. So I decided to like not show it in this, or not depict it in this image, and make it seem like the knot is on the other side of James' face, because it was a little too obnoxious and I didn't notice it when taking the photo. But for me, I've kind of like grown where I can take some improvisations when it comes to my photos and kind of like just draw whatever's in my head. Now, when it comes to this here in particular, you're going to see me use a particular marker. I forgot what the name of it is. It came with the whole graphite pencil set, and I'm going to be using it for like really dark areas so they can stand out. Like for instance, James Janis's buttons, his eyes, and some of the dark creases on the mask. That way it kind of sticks out, unlike the 6B and 4B pencils. So I'm going to be using more of this marker, but I don't want to use it too much because using it too much, it's super dark and it really forces one to try to shade, because otherwise shade around it to make it fit, otherwise it's going to feel really look very out of place. So I'm back to the marker again just to like refine some of the shading. Sorry for some of the reflections, it's just that there was just a window and I couldn't see the reflections. I was recording this on this tablet, and I just had it like sitting up on its stand and then just positioned it in a ways where you could see what exactly I was drawing and everything. So now moving on to the face. The face here is kind of easy because there's not much detail or anything to it, but the face did take me, as you saw earlier in the video, quite a bit to like get perfectly, mainly the eyes, because I put it too high where like I positioned the mask wrong, where it was a little too high, where it was making James look like his eyeballs were on his forehead. So yep, if I didn't have the mask or everything, this shading process on the face would be a lot more difficult. But for me, I kind of wanted to keep James Janis's face a secret, because it is me in the photos and everything. So I don't want to do like a complete author insert where I'm just inserting myself into the story. I want a little bit of imagination when it comes to James Janis for the readers, even though it kind of is like his ethnicity and such is explained in the first novel. I think it's explained. Yeah, I think it is explained again in the second novel, in case some people decide to just read that book and don't read the first book. But I do encourage, like, if you are going to get the second book, I do encourage to get the first book and at least read it, because there are some connections that are going to be very important in that second novel, especially when it comes to like James Janis's character arc in that novel, because it's building from things that have taken place in the first novel. So yep, and the book is on sale right now. I'm not really sure what price it is. I know it's like around 99 cents for the ebook, and it's not that much more expensive for the paperback. So yep, so while I'm shading in the hair right now, because there's not much interesting going on besides me using darker pencils, I'm going to be publishing through Ingram Spark. And yep, I know it's very complex and everything, and I was really nervous using it last year for my first novel, because I was afraid I was gonna like do it wrong, or I was gonna like forget to do the pre-order right, and then the book was just gonna release without any sorts of pre-orders. But this year I'm gonna do like pre-order incentives and everything, because I'm really focusing on the pre-order, and I'm gonna make sure I hold off on the cover reveal until the day of the pre-order. That way when people see it and there's hype, they'll actually like want to like pre-order it, rather than me doing it like the first book and show the cover design and then have the pre-order like 2 months later when the hype is kind of dying and there was like no hype surrounding it. So that was kind of a mistake, and good thing I'm doing a series where I can just learn from the previous book and kind of like just build my audience the further I go with this series. So yep, so you can see shading in the hair. I think I was using I think this is the 4B pencil that I'm using right now. So yep, and I'm just darkening up around the face and everything. So yep, I'm going to conclude things here. I'm going to like upload this to YouTube. If you haven't already, feel free to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. That way you know every single time I post videos like this. And follow me on my Instagram and Facebook channels. That way you know certain things that I'm up to. You can like figure out what I'm doing in relations to my Shadows of Darkness series, as well as you can subscribe to my author site. I think I have it in the link in the description below in this video. It is www.james www.jonahwauthor.com. There you will see updates on my Shadows of Darkness series. And what I'm doing right now is actually creating like sort of like a wiki or info page on my author site where I post new updates like hopefully once a week. You just go on my website and go under series info, and you'll see some specific information that is detailed, like certain the factions that are involved in the Shadows of Darkness series, like some of the technology and everything. And I'm hoping to put up some character profiles on my site. So yep, I'm going to be updating it every week, hopefully leading up to the release, where I can like create my own like Shadows of Darkness Wikipedia page on my author site. Not a full-on Wikipedia page where I just give out spoilers, where it kind of makes reading the books useless, but more like if you were jumping in the middle of the series, or if you like to learn more information before you dive into the series. If you're just visiting my author site for the first time, you can get more information. But other than that, I'm going to leave this here, and I'll see you guys in part 2 when I finish this photo. Thank you.